actually, Amon-Ra St. Brown for a second, staying in the Detroit game. Wide receiver 9, Sam wants to bring him up, and Amon-Ra is he is the chalkiest wide receiver projected for DraftKings right now. 25.1% projected rostership. He's at 6,900. We've talked about their matchup against the Chicago Bears. Amon-Ra, he crushed at the end of last season. Jameson Williams still isn't back. DJ Chark is on IR. Josh Reynolds has been ruled out for this game. So there are, and of course, TJ Hawkinson traded. So there's volume. DeAndre Swift is not getting passes out of the backfield. So there's the passing volume is going to go Amon-Ra's way. And I think he's far enough removed from that ankle injury to get back into that elite tier of wide receiver.
Yeah, at this point, the injury isn't even a concern, and it's really the underlying metrics. I mean, it's all there for him. He's got over a 30% target share in every one of his healthy games when he's played more than 70% of the snaps. The last 2 games, yeah, they've been disappointing, but he's had 9 targets and 10 targets. And I mean, if you remember the last time Amon-Ra and Josh Reynolds played, Josh Reynolds had more receiving yards, been back-to-back games with him. So in general, it's just a boost for Amon-Ra, even though he didn't have that big box score with Reynolds out the last time. It doesn't look like Reynolds is coming back yet. And, even dating back to last season, he averages 21.7 fantasy points per game when he just played 65% or more of snaps. So we know what the upside is. We saw it all throughout the end of last season, beginning of this season. And I think, with the projected ownership, everyone sees that he has the opportunities. If Green Bay was able to push the Lions more, I think Amon-Ra would have had a much bigger game. If Aaron Rodgers just converted at the goal line, I think Amon-Ra would have had a huge day. But it's pretty evident that Jared Goff is still looking, when he's in trouble, he's still looking to pepper Amon-Ra St. Brown when he can. And as far as, I mean, it's hard to sort of look at all of his data with the games that he's left early or been injured this season. But if you look at targets per route run, which that takes away his snap share, he has the second highest targets per route run, right below Tyreek Hill. So like I said, when he's running routes, Jared Goff is looking to him every single time. So I like Chicago's matchup, for one, but Detroit had a great matchup against Chicago as well. Jared Goff isn't the same quarterback as Tua, but we saw Tua go over 303 touchdowns last week. So, yeah, I really love Amon-Ra in this matchup.
And you mentioned he's getting the volume when he's on the field. We can't really factor in the New England game and also the Dallas game where he left early. It just, it was not fair to his fantasy outcome. But aside from that, like, he started the season wide receiver 11, wide receiver 4. And as he's been working his way back from the injury, wide receiver 23 and wide receiver 31. And that's just purely volume, and add in a positive matchup, add in a few weeks removed from the injury. I think this is a chance for Amon-Ra to have this re-breakout game in a sense, or the post-hype sleeper in a sense that you're going to get Amon-Ra. I mean, he's mirroring his yards per reception from last year. He's on pace for about the same number of receptions and targets, but he's fantasy points per game wide receiver 13 on the season. So he's been a low-end wide receiver 1 pretty much the whole season, and you have to be happy with that. So Amon-Ra, even though he's a little chalky in DFS, is a real nice. You should raise your expectations for him this week.
Yeah, and all the off-season debate about if Amon-Ra can do this with Hawk and Swift. Well, they're practically not playing. Hawk was traded, and Swift is a part-time player. So we've seen the upside. We know who he is, and if any of your league mates are low on Amon-Ra, I would send pretty much anything you can to get him on your squad before the deadline. I think he's going to have a monster close this season.
And this is one player that I had changed my mind on. Back in January and February of this past year, I was like, sell Amon-Ra. And I think that was still like the right move at the time based on the information we had, because the Lions were poised to be a big splash in free agency. They also had high draft capital. And they ended up not taking, a wide receiver that was going to make an immediate impact. They took Jameson Williams, who was more of an investment pick. And they didn't make a splash. They didn't go out and get Juju Smith-Schuster, for instance, who plays a lot in the slot, just like Amon-Ra. He plays everywhere. And so with those moves, the Detroit Lions signaled their trust and reaffirmation of Amon-Ra as a staple of this offense. So that's why I changed my opinion on him based on what we had seen the Lions do this offseason, and it's translated this year.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. And I remember last season when the Lions drafted Amon-Ra. Jared Goff said that Amon-Ra is like his new Cooper Kupp, and it's crazy because that was before Cooper Kupp had that season last year, and now they're both just tearing the world on fire, which is cool to see.